board to order at 6 o'clock. Ms. Santa Cruz, can I get a roll call, please?
Aaron Rashba,
Here.
Andrea Jordan,
Here.
Shaquille Ali,
Here.
Nadia Flamenco,
Here.
Anthony Sujisaka,
Here.
all present.
Thank you. All right, and then I will ask Ms. Peterson, can you please lead us in the pledge?
I'll stand, hand over your heart, and begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson. All right, before I ask for item 4, approval of the agenda, there are a couple of things we'd like to announce. There will be no closed session. It is no longer needed, and we are going to remove item 8C from the agenda. Outside of that, do we have any other additions or alterations to the agenda? Otherwise, I will take a motion.
I move that we approve the agenda.
Second.
First and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, item 5, study session. District declining enrollment and budget trends. The administration will provide the board and public with an in-depth look at our enrollment and budget trends in order to discuss how to best allocate resources and structure programs given declining enrollment. Superintendent, I'll hand it to you.
Yes, good evening. So at the January 15th Governing Board meeting, the board approved a motion to hold this study session to discuss how to best allocate resources and structure programs given declining enrollment. And so tonight, I will present some key data charts and graphs to initiate this important conversation. This is the first step in a long process. Fortunately, due to your proactive financial planning, and our district has strong reserves, allowing us time to carefully assess and address these challenges over the coming years. So I just want to make sure everyone understands that this is the first step in a very long process. So the purpose of our study session tonight is to provide context on our district's enrollment and budget, as well as trends at the county and state levels. Additionally, I will share my recommendations for the next steps in this process. Since this is a study session, no action will be taken tonight. Instead, this is an opportunity for the board and the public to gain a deeper understanding of our district's current conditions and for the board to engage in open discussion and ask questions to administration to guide future investigations. So how did we get here? Understanding how we arrived at this point is essential. So as you may have seen in the news, school enrollment is declining significantly across California, with the Bay Area experiencing particularly sharp declines. Many school districts statewide, including some in our own region and some of our neighbors, are considering school closures, staff layoffs, and other drastic measures. So what does this mean for JESD? Our district's funding is directly tied to student enrollment and attendance. Since the 2016-17 school year, we have seen a decline of approximately 1,200 students. As a result, our district has fewer funds to support programs and staff, leading to smaller schools, an increase in combination classes at the elementary level, and fewer course offerings in the middle schools. Fortunately, we have strong reserves to allow us time to thoughtfully engage our community as we determine how to best serve our students. This next slide provides an overview of our multi-year revenue and expenditures. We have shared this information in this actual slide with you before. So as shown, revenue significantly increased in 2022 due to one-time COVID relief funds. Correspondingly, expenditures also rose, including a 12% salary increase to ensure we remain competitive in attracting and retaining high-quality staff. Now that these one-time funds are expiring, we need to explore ways to increase revenue or reduce expenditures while maintaining the quality of our academic programs. As I continue to mention, we have strong reserves that will cover these gaps for a few years, but we need to consider ideas to close these financial gaps in the future. This pie chart illustrates how our district funds are spent. The majority of our budget goes towards personnel, as you can see in the light blue and dark blue pie slices. Some contracted positions fill vacancies we have been unable to due to staff shortages or shortages of applications. Those positions are identified in that darker blue slice, which is 5.4% or 5.3 million. The next largest expenditure category is services and operational costs, which include insurance, utilities such as electricity, gas, waste management, and water. It also includes equipment, repairs, maintenance, professional development, and membership dues like our California School Boards Association membership. Another expenditure that is a larger slice is the capital outlay, and that one includes facilities improvements such as painting, furniture, inspections, etc. I'm going to go through all the slides, and then at the end we'll just go, because we have time to discuss, so then we can go back to certain slides. So now let's focus on enrollment, as it is the primary driver of our district's funding. In this chart, the blue bars, and sorry, it's a little fuzzy, but the blue bars represent enrollment trends across all California K-12 public schools, while the orange line shows our district's enrollment trends. So you can see the numbers on the far right is the district numbers, and on the far left is the state numbers. So you can see that our district's pattern closely mirrors the broader trends. However, our district's enrollment decline was nearly 20% because it's a smaller N size, and it's 20% lower than its peak 8 years ago, whereas the state was 6%. Last May, you may recall that we had a demography study that was presented to the board. The full report and presentation are included as backup in tonight's agenda, if you would like to review that. This bar graph that is on pages 2 and 50 of the study displays historical and projected enrollment trends. Interestingly, while the study projected a continued decline, we actually saw a slight increase in student enrollment this year. Enrollment has remained relatively stable over the past 2 years, and we anticipate this trend to continue. More precise enrollment projections for the next school year will be available in the coming months. To provide a perspective on our average school sizes, this bar graph compares our district's average number of students per school to similar sized districts in San Mateo County. The blue bars represent the average student enrollment per school, and the red numbers indicate the number of schools per district. So as shown, JESD, this is on the far left there, has one of the lowest average student populations per school. Keep in mind that our schools were originally built as neighborhood schools and were not designed to accommodate large student populations like those in Belmont Redwood Shores or Redwood City. It's also worth noting that Pacifica's average will increase due to their planned school consolidations at the end of this school year, so that's why the asterisk is there. So the next two slides show each school site classroom utilization. This pie chart illustrates the number of classrooms used for core instruction at each elementary school. This includes preschool classes, special day classes with smaller student populations, resource specialist classrooms, and classrooms used as libraries at some of our schools. However, most schools also use the available classrooms, the red bars, on their campus for other services such as counseling, speech and language interventions, after-school programs, music, art, etc. If you ask any school, they'll say every room is used, but they use those for other classroom or other support services. We also want to note that the total number of classrooms at each school, as that affects how the usage is noted on this or displayed. So for example, if you look at Franklin D. Roosevelt, there are 27 classrooms and JFK has 26 classrooms. But then you look at Garden Village and the total number of classrooms that are on campus is 14. So there is a wide range of sizes around our district. We also have 7 of our elementary schools have special day classes on campus. So those classrooms might not have students that are attending their home school, but they're attending a program that is best meeting their needs. So for example, Daniel Webster has 2 of those 17 classrooms or special day classrooms. FDR has 4, George Washington has 3, JFK has 4, MP Brown has 2, Thomas Edison has 1, and Westlake has 2. And next year, some of those configurations may change a little bit. I also added General Pershing there. That is a preschool-only site, and there's only 6 classrooms there. So it skews how the pie chart looks, but I just wanted to put that there because that is one of our facilities as well. And then here is the middle school. So I just want to highlight the number of classrooms again. So Ben Franklin is the largest, has 34 classrooms. Thomas R. Policita has 31, and then Fernando has 27. So that pie chart reflects the total number usage, but it does have fewer classrooms as well. And Ben Franklin and Thomas R. Policita also each have 1 special day class within the number of classrooms used. So that's all the data I'm showing you today, because really this is a deeper dive that we'll need to take. And so what my recommendation, what I would like to do is to form, or actually to expand the existing Superintendent's Advisory Budget and Facilities Committee to conduct a deeper analysis of our district's finances, facilities, staffing, and programs. So in addition to the 2 board representatives that are on this Budget and Facilities Committee that was approved on December 18th, that's Trustee Ali and Trustee Rashbaugh, this committee would be comprised of staff, family, and community members with the task of recommending or making recommendations to the full board. So we would work on gathering members this spring and begin the committee meetings in August or September with the support of a school finance expert to help us work through this process. So some considerations that I'm going to ask that the group or the committee consider is first, seeking revenue. So that's one way to address the budget deficit, budget issues. And some things that we can look at for seeking revenue is we already currently rent some of our facilities. So increasing the rental rates, which haven't been increased in a long time. So that can increase revenue. We could also identify some of our surplus property that we could start renting out as well. And so getting the word out and getting some rental that way, that would bring in some revenue. We're also currently looking at offering a fee-based preschool slots within our state preschool. So we already offer state preschool. There's lots of families that are interested in coming to our preschools, but they don't qualify for income levels, and we can offer fee-based, and that would actually be a revenue generator, and we could put that into the general fund. And so we're already looking into that as an option. Another way is to maximize the allocations for grants. So the community schools grant, we have 11 schools, I believe, applying, and that would be about 16 million over 5 years for services. It doesn't necessarily affect the deficit that we have, but it does provide services that maybe we can look at in other areas. We also have our Expanded Learning and Opportunities Program grant that we could look about how we can maximize that. Right-sizing staffing, we're already working on that as well. And so we're going to see hopefully some impact in that right-sizing for next year. But that's really just ensuring that we have appropriate student to staff classroom ratios. That may involve some combination or split grade classrooms. You could call them multi-age. It's already being very successful at MP Brown where they've done that. So we can look at that as well as a way to right size. It just means, some of our smaller schools, combinations classrooms are the only options. We are going to look at reducing district level and district office positions. We're a smaller district and maybe have smaller function at the district level. We also want to review the need for non-classroom student support positions, so maximizing staff functions without compromising our supports and programs. So that's some of the ideas for right sizing. The next one is not popular. It is a last resort. We're hearing about it all over the state, but we need to put it on the table. We need to think about it. So consolidating or closing schools. And so, we want to look at, is it a cost savings for one? And we have a lot of small schools. is this a good academic program when our schools are diminishing in size? So we not only want to look at, is it cost savings to close a school, but is it a good academic program when we have a lot of small schools that are functioning on very limited resources? So that's something we want to consider. And if we were needing to close a school for any of those reasons, last resort, just reminding the public, we could explore a possibility of maybe we renovate or rebuild or construct, tear down a school and rebuild a brand new school using bond. We'd have to go out to the community seeking bond funding, but maybe we built a state-of-the-art school. So if we have to close a few schools, we built a state-of-the-art school that combines all of the schools or consolidates them to something that people would desire. That's an option, that's a possibility. It would require, more than just the board's decision. We would need public and community funding as well for that. Another thing to consider if we were to close schools is transportation. We have neighborhood schools, so how would students get to their new school if we were to close? There's a lot of logistical factors that would come into play, so those would be some things we consider. And so we want to just recognize that any school closures, last resort, they would have a significant impact on the community, and we need to carefully plan if we were to do this. That's why we are fortunate that we have time. I know other districts around us do not have that, financial situation that we have, and they have to make decisions right now because they don't have the funding. They don't have the reserves that like we have. We have the reserves, so we can take our time and do it thoughtfully and do it right and get our community input. And we are gonna take that time because we don't want to make any drastic decisions. And then other ideas. The committee might have another idea that I haven't even thought of. And so these are some of the areas that we're focusing on. Remember that tonight is not about an action. It's really just a public, open discussion that you will have with each other. If anyone from the public wants to speak, they can speak to the board as well, but that you would just listen and then you can talk to each other about it. And then at the end, 7 o'clock, we do have our regular meeting starting. So we can, I will then, take what you say, take some guidance, and then come back to the board at another meeting to talk about the Superintendent Advisory Committee. So at this point, I'm going to open up to the board and turn it back over to President Suji Saka.
Thank you, Superintendent McCulloch. All right, so this is our time for questions. I will start on my right.
If I may, for point of order,
Yeah.
this is actually a study session, so you could just do this open discussion. It's up to you, or you could do go down with questions. It doesn't have to be a question; it could be a comment as well, because this is a study session, so it's a little more open to discussions. But you could do it in any order you want. But
Do you have a
it's through the
suggestion,
board.
or do you? Oh, a comment? Sure, go ahead.
So, as a mom, I know there is the summer program here that is not easy to sign in for summer program because you have to be already registered. So I think we are losing a lot of parents who are able to put their kids in public school, that it can be like an introduction for how it is. And then that can open more students to bring to our classrooms. I say it as a mom. My kid go to San Francisco, and I have told you that idea before, where the kids can come for the summer and the parents can have the experience of having what it is to go to public school. And maybe they say, hey, you know what? This is even better what we are paying lately. Because there is a lot of kids that go to private school. In the summer, they have to find another camp or something. So this is like an introduction to get more kids for our school. That's one of my ideas.
So may I share a little more? As I shared with you, the funding for summer comes from our Expanded Learning Opportunity Program grant, and it is funded based on our enrollment. And so the funding has to go towards the students that are enrolled in our district. So we would not be able to fund a program for students that are not enrolled in our district because they're not generating the funds. But I see your idea of that would get people to want to come, but maybe it's more advertising. If you come to our district, you get to be part of the summer program.
So then I guess for the sake of this conversation, I guess so I don't know how we want to do this. Do we want to have our hands raised? Because I see a lot of people want to speak. Do you want to just do hand raise and then I'll just take an order? Or do we just?
I
kinda
would
wanna just-
suggest we just open it up because I actually just wanted to actually respond to that because I do understand that we are getting funding for the summer program. However, we also made the statement earlier about fee-based for our pre-K. Is there a way to do a fee-based summer program at all? I'm not saying that we can. I'm just saying because that is a really great idea. Again, to see how it is at another school during the summer. It is 3 months, or it is maybe a month, 6 weeks, but that is better than no weeks. And again, it may not be able to be the actual summer program we have, but is there a way to do a fee-based one? Because I think, and this is going to sound bad, but I'm going to say it anyway. So we do a lot of focus on our marginalized community, those that can't afford, and I think that is very important. However, I do think that we do sometimes not think through like those people that need the same support, but they make too much money, so they have to pay for the support. And we should be able to give them the option. I know that there are some schools, like Tobias, when my kid went there, I actually did pay Daily City Partnerships. I didn't get free after school, and I was so grateful for that because if not, I would have had to go during work time, go pick my kid up, take them to another place that I am paying for, and then go back to work. So giving people options that do have the funds to pay, I think would generate money and then also give us additional enrollment.
I noted it.
Or maybe through YMCA. I mean YMCA San Francisco, but like you say, the Lee City Partnership or somebody who was doing that before, who wants to do the summer program in our school district, but pay for parents above the line.
And I was drawn to the fee-based preschool idea of any because I do think that prioritizing revenue generation over cuts, is what we want to be doing. But with that idea, the wonderful thing about it is it introduces prospective parents to our schools, and I really think we need to be, trying to attract all segments of the community. We're public schools, that we are for all families. And so I love, being able to let families get some exposure either through preschool and then they're naturally just able to register for kindergarten, or perhaps, gain that introduction in the summer if potentially private school families might want to see what the district is up to and consider re-enrolling. But I had just a basic question from the presentation. Could you say more about neighborhood schools? Like in my mind, can think of what that is, but is there a definition for it? I was really struck that we are among the lowest, school population per schools in the, in the area. And so I'm just wondering if we're beholden to something because of the neighborhood schools nature, or if that has any, defined meaning.
It doesn't necessarily have a defined meaning. It's just my description of our schools. For example, we have Thomas Edison right here, and then about 2 blocks away is Daniel Webster, and about 3, so they're all within neighborhoods. And so some of our schools, like Garden Village, we'll go back to that slide, is quite small. And, it cannot accommodate a larger population coming in. And so, and you can see that they don't have a special day class there. That's the actual population of the school. And they're, only have one room to grow. And so, it's a lot of our schools were built really small, like Tobias, MP Brown, they're small and can't grow. We can't put more students unless we were to we'd have to do some facilities on there. So when I talk neighborhood schools, it's within a community, and it would be a little harder for them to get to another school, even though actually some of our within, a radius, within a mile, we have 3 schools, elementary schools, that MP Brown, Daniel Webster, Thomas Edison, actually even MH Tobias, so there is opportunities for that, but they're really close and they're within small communities. So that's why I reference them as neighborhood schools. That's my term.
I was just going to add to what you just said, because it's really interesting. So my oldest went to Tobias and my youngest is going to Garden Village, but they're walking distance from each other. So I actually it's interesting. I understand their community schools and it's the boundaries. But it's really interesting because you said 13, let's just look at Garden Village. They only have 14 classrooms, but 13 are full, like in use, actually being taught in. And I guess now the question would be, like, what are the ratios of those classrooms? Are they consistent? Are they not consistent? Have we looked? And I know we said we're looking at that because the decision on how to consolidate, I think, would be really dependent on that. Because if those schools are, like Garden Village again, if 13 classrooms are in use, that school is almost fully utilized. And it wouldn't seem like there would be much we could do specific to that. We can't add, I guess we could add additional classes, but then you said they are using that class for possibly counseling or something. And so technically, there doesn't seem like much wiggle room in that specific school.
Yeah, and that school, they don't have preschool. They have TK, kinder through fifth grade, and they don't have any, like, the counselor's not using a room. RSP is using a room, but that's resource specialists, it's special education for students in general ed receiving services. So they actually don't have a lot of room for an additional class to grow. That would be something the committee would look at, would be class sizes. It depends on the grade level. It depends on, some schools they're full in second grade, but they're low in first or in fifth. So it just really sometimes just depends on the grade level. Some schools have smaller class sizes throughout because they're, the size is shrinking. I don't know what's going to happen, though, actually, with some of our neighboring districts, San Francisco, Pacifica, having school closures, if that's going to attract people to our district. So that could help our enrollment a little bit. I don't know. But they would have to fill out an inter-district agreement and so on. But yeah, so that would be something that I would want the Superintendent's Advisory Committee to really dive into. Class sizes, enrollment at the schools by grade level, et cetera. So that would be a little more detail that they would be able to look at to see if we're thinking about closing schools.
One last question on that statement. And so in the event that, let's say, I'm making this up, let's say there's 2 first grade classes this year in Garden Village. I'm not saying that that's accurate, just saying hypothetically. There's 2 first grade classes. Going into the next year, there's also now 2 second grade classes, but the enrollment increases for second grade. What happens?
We call it a bubble. We have that at several schools where sometimes there's 3 third grade or 2, 3 second grade going into, so the teachers would have to change grade levels to teach. So we say, well, they're only going to have due next year. So then the teachers sometimes go to another grade, or sometimes they need to go to another school. So that doesn't impact our teaching staff, but it's sometimes it's just the enrollment we don't want to send kids away because of their, especially if it's their home school. And then we want to accommodate students first. But yeah, we do at several schools right now, I believe we have this, we call it a bubble, where we have a group that's a larger group going through.
I have a question for us to advertise to. Can we use our community's emails, or is there a way that we can send a flyer for all this Daly City residents to receive when is the time to enroll and everything? I think I have never got an email from a school district. Now that I'm in the board, yes, but I'm saying as a resident, I never got an email from the city saying, hey, this is the time for you to enroll your kid. I never got one. So I wonder if we have that access for us as a school district to send an email to all the residents. Hey, this is the time to enroll your students, blah, 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 in different location, depending their areas, or?
So we do have the district newsletter,
Mm-hmm.
but, and community members can sign up to receive that. I would have to look into how we would get email addresses of community members. I'm not sure if there is a way to do that. I mean, there's privacy issues too, you know, I don't know if there's, but we are actually trying to expand our social media presence where, because I think that's where more people will see it. Where
Or
we're,
or maybe get advertised, because I do receive in Daily City does something that goes to your house every month, I believe. So maybe through them we can
yeah.
advertise.
So that would be something that we could consider and discuss, like how we can advertise for sure. Because I would love to get more information out about our district and other means. So as people have ideas, that's something we can definitely look into.
I had a question about that. I think in the past we used to at least give that information to all the realtors, and they would give that to new people that were moving into the community and whatnot. Do we still do that?
No, but that's a great idea. And Chamber of Commerce, I'm a member of that, so we were actually talking about how can we advertise through the Chamber of Commerce, get the word out. I know that Google has a way where you can become an ad with certain, forms and formats. So we're using Volair to help us with that community communication as well. And so that is something we're looking into, but that will get more interest to enroll. Really, though, as we look at the demographic study, we're not really competing a lot with private schools. You know, a lot of them are faith-based, and people want their children to go to a faith-based. So there's not that many private schools in our area. I feel that that's not really a competition for us to. I think we just don't have a lot of kids in our community right now. But it's great to get the word out for the few that, we can capture to let them know about our district.
So, is it possible? So I know Daly City has a newsletter that they send out, and was that already said? Okay, never mind then.
I was basically going to add to that. So they do a newsletter that they put in the mail because I understand, like, and so that's maybe it won't be our cost, because I was thinking, well, can we do something where we just deliver a pamphlet to all the households? But that's expensive, because I did that during the election and I was like, that's not fun. But I do believe that they also send out emails to the community, because I know I get an email as well from Daly City. And then the other question I was going to ask is, have we thought about utilizing the Daly City libraries at all? Our children are at the libraries all the time. I feel like, is there a way we could, I mean, how many libraries do we have in Daly City? I'm making this up. War Memorial, the one in Westlake, the one on Gellert. Those are the three I think I know of. Do we have can we
some
put a
sort of-
banner or something in the libraries? I don't think that they would be opposed to that, or we can ask. And I'm also really close with the Daly City Public Library Associate, so I can see how they can help as well.
You can ask them tomorrow.
I think it's important to say, for the public's benefit, that sometimes you see a chart like this and you see, we've lost 1,200 students in 10 years, and, you think, oh, the schools are doing a really bad job. People are leaving, and that is not the case. And, I think it's just important to say that these are broader trends in, the country, the state, and the region, and that, as you said, all of our districts in California, especially coastal California, Bay Area, are losing students, lower birth rates, families are moving away, and COVID, really shook things up. So I think it's important to say this is not a reflection on the district and the job that we are doing. Can always try to continuously improve, but this is really as a result of larger factors.
There was one other thing I wanted to mention, because you said something around where faith-based schools, and Daly City has not a lot of those. I will say that I know that I know at least 2 students that actually don't live here in Daly City, but their families work in this area. And so they are commuting from San Mateo, they're commuting from South City. And so I don't know if there is a way to get the word out countywide, like, hey, if like, because at this, I agree that we may not be competing with faith-based schools, but if people are commuting in for work and it's easier to pick up, then we should be advertising to not just the community members, because we do have students in our district that actually don't live in our district.
And more with the fact now San Francisco is closing a lot of schools. We're right there, right next to them.
Oops. And I think Superintendent McCullough said that earlier. It's like, it's not that we couldn't do that. It's like they'd have to inter-district transfer because if they're living in our borders. I mean, again, like that would be up to them to approve those inter-district transfers. So
Yeah.
not saying
Is
it's
it
not
worth
possible.
the cost of advertising for the amount of students that we may or may not receive?
Well, I guess that's the question, is have we even looked into it? I'm not saying that we should or should not. I'm more so saying if it's a possibility, we should look into it, just because I don't want to like not give an option for people, like, because again, I know 2 children that are in 1 grade level that are commuting from outside of our district to come in. And obviously those are very low numbers compared to the large ones, right? But there may be some fear around the process to do inter-district transfers, or, oh, I'm going to be on a wait list for a really long time. And that may just, people are just not, they don't even know it's an option. And so it may not need to be costly. It could be something we post on our website. It could be something we post or we mention in a back to school night. There should be ways to just mention things without actually having a cost. Like we do inter-district transfers. If you work in the area, you know, and you're interested in seeing what our schools are about, here's some information on. There has to be a way to give information without just spilling out cash, is I guess what I'm saying.
Yeah, I just wanted to back up and say that I think it's really great that we are having this conversation and bringing this up now, because one thing I feel personally, committed to is good planning and transparency, because this process has been so painful in many of our neighboring communities. So I think that it's really good that we are talking about this now, and just to applaud the district administrative leadership for putting us in the position where we have some time and can really be thoughtful about it. But I think, as we're kind of saying tonight, that this is a good opportunity to not just think through, like, what are we going to cut? How are we going to make the budget pencil out? And those are real concerns, because with the declining enrollment will catch up with us. So we are, going to have to make tough decisions. But I do think it's a good opportunity to look at what do we want to be? How can we really thrive? And how much we advertise and other. I think we could hopefully let our excellence speak for itself, and to try to create something that would really attract students from our community and, perhaps beyond. But most importantly, just serve a model of excellence for our students in this community.
So I have 3 questions, but before I say them, I just wanted to note that when Trustee Roshba was speaking, the sun came out right behind him. So I just wanted the ray of sunshine in this dark day is kind of shining on you right now, Aaron. Just wanted to point that out. Anyway, so well, actually, based on Trustee Jordan's quote, actually, I got a question from that. Do we generate money from interdistrict transfers?
When a student is enrolled in our district, we get their funding for their attendance
Their
in our
ADA?
district. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's a good one. And then the other 2 questions I had for from the presentation were like, one of the fears, I think, like with all of the a lot of money is going a lot of other places, so the people that are renting our buildings now, would increasing that run the risk of them leaving altogether?
Potentially, but we've had the same rental rate, very low rental rate, for decades. So it is time to renew that as well and look into that, and we'll work on that.
Got it. And then my last question was, like, building a new, I guess, mega school idea. I don't know if I want to say mega school, but that's kind of what it is.
State of the art.
Well, building a mega school, how long would that take and potentially put people out of work? Because that would be, if those schools are not, or would that be like, I don't know, how would that project work?
That's an excellent question, and I don't know the answer to that at this time. That's why we'd have the committee and have some finance experts helping us with that process. We actually did do a big remodel at Thomas R. Policita. I'm sure Mr. Valenti, he was part of that process at the beginning as well. But we just relocated in portables for a while. And it could just be we relocate to a school that actually has a lot of classrooms for a bit and, have busing for a bit. I don't know. I mean, there's all sorts of ideas that can come from that. But that is one idea, but it would definitely have to be community funded. And so that's asking the community for more money to be, but it would also maybe raise the value of their homes when we have a state-of-the-art school. So it's just an option. It's something, it would take probably a couple years. I think it takes, 3 years or so, or depending on, what happens in the world. Because the pandemic affected our workforce housing. But it would take a couple years to rebuild or renovate or tear down and build a whole new school. And then, so that would be a process as well.
All right, thank you. And then we'll call it Wall School Mega School, right? Anyway, do we have any other?
I have one comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I just would like to reiterate and agree with Trustee Rushbaugh. I'm glad that we're having this conversation now, and it's a wide entrance funnel. But I don't think we should get too far into the details now. We have to see how things go. But I hope that when the time comes that we narrow it down and make some good decisions. And thank you.
I also want to add how important it is, the PTAs in our schools as well, for fundraising money. When we decide as parents to get involved and create events for our kids, I have seen PTAs where they have got a lot of money just for supporting the school. So that's also an invitation, open, invitation for the PTA to get involved with us and see what way we can save our schools.
And if I may actually add on to that, speaking of, we're also, the Kids First Education Foundation is our district's 501c3 education foundation, and they are trying to rebuild and form a board, and they're in that process of transitioning. And so that could be another revenue generator and getting the word out about that. But we're in the process of rebuilding. So in addition to PTAs and PTOs.
I'd like to ask a question about that. Are we going to encourage them, or is there a way for our foundation to expand their scope beyond just providing support for arts programs?
Yes, we have been in talks with that. Their bylaws actually are very broad. They just narrowed their focus, and so that once this new board takes over, they are talking about broadening their reach for our district and how they would support our schools. But we are still, we're seeking board members. They are seeking board members and working on redesigning. And so more to come on that.
Have we thought about getting student voice into this conversation? And if not, can we?
Yes, we could. That's something we could consider with the Superintendent's Advisory Committee. That might be hard for, how we choose that. We might want to just have the Superintendent Advisory Committee maybe do a survey, and then we get that information from that. So I'm really looking at the Superintendent Advisory Committee to help come up with a lot of these ideas and really dive into that, and having a broad range of voices on there, PTA representatives, parent, non-PTA or whatever, and then community representatives, maybe from our Citizens Oversight Committee. We might want to have, administrators. We want to have every school site somehow represented in that mix. And so I think, we'll have a broad range of voices and stakeholders on that committee, and that they would come, then their task would be to bring a recommendation to the board, and then you decide whether you want to take that recommendation or not. It's really up to you. It would just be getting community input making a recommendation, and then it's your decision as to what you want to do with that information.
I just want to speak in favor of the superintendent's advisory committee. I think there's a lot of questions I have about the timeline, and as you were saying, the representation and the subjects. It's a lot to take on, but I think that it's really good that we're thinking very broad, and would just get a very wide segment of the community their input and discuss a number of these important issues for the decisions we have to make.
I just want to add, I didn't say it explicitly, but I want to say it explicitly. We want to make sure that our AFT, our American Federation of Teachers representatives, and classified employees representatives are definitely on that committee. I didn't say it explicitly, but it was implied. I just want to make sure that's clear.
All right. Do we have any other comments or questions?
I just want to say, even though we have time, but we have to be diligent in trying to get money.
Yeah, definitely. And again, like I want to echo my fellow board trustees' sentiments, especially like Trustee Rashma and Trustee Ali, with what you're saying. We're very appreciative where the point that we're at. In Santa Clara County as a total, they've closed 6 schools into 6 different districts. And so it's big. It's going around and it's already happening. So I'm very fortunate that we are able to be mindful about how we're planning these steps. So we're very fortunate that we have you all and everyone in the district who's been making this happen to get us to this point. So thank you. With that being said, we will take a recess until 7 o'clock. Is that all right?
Yes, we have students coming for the presentation, so we want to make sure that we start at 7 so we can
Yes.
take a
what are-
recess unless we have.
What are the
public
next
comment.
steps? Oh,
Go
yeah.
ahead. No, go ahead. I think we might have a public comment coming,
Yeah.
so maybe before we go to recess. What was your question?
My question is, what are the next steps?
The next steps would be, first of all, just hearing your opinions and your thoughts on a superintendent advisory committee. I would then work with Ms. Peterson, because she's part of the Budget and Facilities Advisory Committee. So we would work together to start seeking out an outside facilitator to help us with this process. And so then we would bring that to the board, and then we would start seeking community members and working with that facilitator to guide us in, how do we seek out community members? I would say that we would spend this spring forming the committee, getting the committee, finding out who would be on it. And then in August, we would probably have our first meeting. I would guess, depending on, the school finance advisor, it would probably be a once-a-month meeting. Depending on what the committee decides, we would probably do a survey with the people interested, and then have meetings probably monthly. And then these would be public meetings. People could come and sit in the audience and listen. They could have, a speaker. It's not a formal board meeting. It is an advisory meeting, so it's a little more informal. So they probably wouldn't be recorded, but people could come and sit in the audience while the committee, it's going to be a large group, so we would have, the committee sitting probably at multiple tables, and then we would have audience members to be able to come and listen. So we want it to be transparent and public. And then we would also regularly communicate out with the community. We would also have a webpage, which we're going to start probably building now, which would, we'll probably call it like a budget stabilization or superintendent's budget advisory committee or something, and have a web page on our website that would have this slide would be up there. We would have anything that comes out of this process would be on that page as well. So we just want to make sure that we are very open with our communication, very transparent, and that people have lots of opportunities to hear what's going on, and have their voice heard when they need to. Does that answer your question?
Good question, Trustee Rashma. I had the same question, but didn't think to ask it. All right, so Superintendent McCullough, before I read the public comment thing, should I read this but just change it to just study session?
Sure.
Okay. All right, so I don't have to say this portion of the agenda because it's the study session, but I guess the study session is available for individuals to comment on or address the board on any issue that is under the board's jurisdiction in study session. The maximum time allowed for any speaker is usually 2 minutes. We will display the 2-minute timer on the screen. If the timer ends, I will stop you if you go over. As a reminder, the board, the board may not discuss or comment on items not listed on the agenda and expressed during communications public comment. We want to know that we will hear you and ask our superintendent to follow up on your comments. Please make sure you leave your name and contact with Ms. Santa Cruz so our administration knows how to reach you. All right, and our public comment for tonight is Miley, parent.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Mai. I'm a parent at FDR. I just really appreciate all the information shared tonight. And again, want to reiterate, it's great that we're having this conversation early. I just had a lot of thoughts as I was hearing all your great dialogue up here. I understand the dropping birth rates in the area, and those are things that we can't control with cost of living. It's so expensive here. But one of the areas that I see some potential loss maybe is with kinder and TK enrollment, and we're in that enrollment season right now. And as a parent and leader in the community, I get so many questions about, what is the TK curriculum here like? Why would I choose that? Should I stay at my private preschool? And I feel like TK now is a little bit of, like we talked about with summer camp, the gateway for people to really stay and experience our schools. And I feel like we should be talking this up as a great benefit that's available to people. A lot of people aren't aware of the TK expansion that now allows all 4-year-olds to attend for free, mostly at their neighborhood school. So I feel like we could just be doing more to inform people about what does TK look like, what are the benefits of attending, the benefits of early education in general if their child hasn't been enrolled in that. And also I feel like this is maybe a little bit harder, but one of the things that I hear a lot is people look at our, great school score and just decide offhand, that's not for me. My kids deserve something better. So what can we be doing to really show what is it like inside our schools? Because I feel very proud of FTR. I think it's a great school, and yet people a lot of times don't even give it a chance. So I think we could do more to invite people in. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and with that, we will go to a 8-minute recess. Please be back by 7. Thank you. We convene the Jefferson Elementary School Board. Ms. Santa Cruz, can I get a roll call, please?
Aaron Rashba,
Aye.
Andrea Jordan,
Aye.
Shakil Ali,
Aye.
Nadia Flamenco.
Aye.
Anthony Sujisaka.
Here. Thank you, Ms. Santa Cruz. All right, so now we go to item 6A, JESD After School Sports Program. Cecilia Aquino, Benjamin Franklin School teacher and facilitator of the district's athletic programs, will give some updates on this year's program.
Great, thank you. Okay, thank you for having me here, JESD board members. Again, my name's Cecilia Aquino, and I'm the JESD program coordinator. Okay, first I'd like to thank JESD board members for supporting our after-school athletics. It's truly a wonderful program. There's two things that I want to show why it's so wonderful. The first thing is, I've been doing this a long time, coaching and being in this district, and one thing that comes to mind, the first thing is our kids are truly, genuinely happy in our after-school sports program. Okay, when I'm coaching, they're hanging out with their friends, they're making new friends, they're happy, just being at practice, getting better at their sport. So the program provides happiness to all our students that it serves here in this district. Okay, and the second thing that I want to share, why it's a wonderful program, is when I go to our annual track meet, I run into our former athletes that I've coached or I've seen around the district, and they've continued with their sport that they started in middle school, whether it be soccer, track, or volleyball, and they're still doing it at the next level. Okay, so just want to say this program provides them the self-confidence to be better, to move on to the next level, and compete at a higher level. So thank you again, JESD board members, for this after-school program, sports program. Okay, also special thanks to Brent and Tanya. They're more behind the scene. They get our referees in place, schedule our buses, provides our students and coaches with the equipment they need throughout the season. So big thanks to Brent and Tanya. Okay, last year, 2023 and 2024, we continued with our boys and girls volleyball seasons, boys and girls soccer, and co-ed track and field. Just a quick recap. Team champions for girls volleyball is Ben Franklin, boys volleyball is Ben Franklin, girls soccer Ben Franklin, boys soccer TRP, and co-ed track was Ben Franklin. So hats off to those team champions. Okay, district funds were spent on transportation, referees, and facility use. Westmore High School, that's where the track meet was held. So for facility use at Westmore. Medals, each team got medals for the championships. Sports equipment for each school. And they were specifically used for after-school sports. Also, replacement jerseys and the stipends for all the coaches and the coordinator. Okay, this year, we continued with the same sports, boys and girls volleyball, boys and girls soccer, and co-ed track and field. And again, district's funds were spent on transportation, referees and facility use, medals for the championship teams, sports equipment, team jerseys, and stipends for the coaches and the coordinator. Student athlete recruitment, okay? Talking to all the coaches and administrators, kind of follow the same protocol of how we promote our after-school sports program at each site. Most sites have a weekly bulletin that we use. Morning announcements. Most middle schools, or all middle schools, have the morning announcements. All the PE classes, the main thing we go pick because we see all the students in PE. I know at some sites I've seen posters, or I create posters to get the word out. And here at Ben Frank, I know at Ben Frank, he emails. I know most families or principals do emails out to the families on a regular basis. So it's one of the avenues we use to get the word out. All right, the tryout process. Once the coaches are in place, we'll have 1 week of scheduled tryouts to evaluate the athletes' abilities. Okay. Once the tryouts are over, we'll determine the official team roster. And after the tryouts are conducted, their team practices twice a week and 1 scheduled game day during the week. Okay, after school sports safety. Once the players are, or once the official players are given a packet, which includes a field trip voluntary form, which allows them to be on that bus with the coach to and back to the school and back to their home site. We have an after-school behavior expectation form where it's given to their parents to sign and return to the coach. We also have the concussion and opioid information form for familiarity. At the games, there are at least 2 site administrators to oversee the spectators to make sure everything runs smooth. We have experienced referees for volleyball, soccer, as well as track to officiate the games. I hold a coaches meeting with all the coaches on Google Meet before the start of each sport to discuss logistics, safety, and the rules of the game. All our coaches are experienced and held responsible to oversee the safety of our students. Okay, as well as I want to point out all the coaches are employee of JESD as well. Okay, coach recruitment. The principal will ask staff members who is interested to coach. Again, coaches are either certificate teachers or employees of the district. As you all know, coaches is a voluntary position, but we're able to fill out if there is a vacancy. Okay, I just want to point out we have dedicated coaches in our district who coach their sport on a regular basis, and we also have coaches that coach multiple sports throughout the year. So, all right, future plans. Hopefully we'll try to include Bayshore Elementary District into our after-school sports program. Give that another shot. And I'm looking to add cross-country running as a sport in this fall. Hopefully it works out. I'm working closely with Coach DiMaggio at Westmore High School. All right. I'm gonna ask some of my student athletes here to say some kind words, some positive words about our after-school sports program. We'll just go down the list here and you can read off here.
While they're coming up, can I get a motion to extend the meeting or this agenda item by 5 minutes, please?
Motion to
10.
motion to extend by 10 minutes.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed? Motion passes. Continue.
Okay. Hi, my name is Samantha Alejandrino. I am in 8th grade and I play for our volleyball and basketball school sports program at Ben Franklin. I played basketball for Ben since 6th grade and volleyball since 7th. The sports program at Ben has benefited my school experience in many different ways. The 3 most important things I learned was building my confidence, how to be a leader, and making strong friendships. A skill I was taught while playing at Ben was leadership. Being a setter on our school volleyball team and a point guard on our basketball team requires leadership skills. Taking care of our team's offense allows me to set up the team for success. Confidence is the feeling when you can rely on someone or something with trust, but it's also self-assurance in yourself. It's an important skill a great athlete and leader should have. My sports experience at Ben has increased my confidence a lot since. I gain the most confidence when I'm playing with my team and friends. Being on our school's volleyball and basketball teams have allowed me to strengthen the friendships I have with my classmates. I believe sports can bring people together with shared values. I may not be as close as I am with my friends today if it weren't for our school sports. These friendships grew stronger because we all shared a common goal of playing and having fun together. The sports program will give students more opportunity to become a better athlete and provide a good school experience. I hope all students that have an opportunity to be a part of the school sports program will become a great individual and athlete. Thank you for inviting me to speak today.
Hello, my name is Sofia Lopez and I attend Ben Franklin Intermediate School. I was on the girls volleyball team this school year and it has helped me in lots of ways. It's helped me build new friendships and it's taught me to socialize. The friends I've made on my team have helped me build trust and teamwork. I feel like I can play my best when they're always rooting for me and hearing me out on my It's helped me motivate to do better in sports and in school. It's made me have a hobby so I can feel productive and try to get better at something and have a goal to achieve. I'm sorry. After school sports has also taught me the ups and downs of playing a sport and that it always doesn't go the way you want to, but you just have to keep trying and keep trying to get better. There are many ways after school sports help students in their academic life. Thank you for letting me talk to you about my experience in after school sports.
Good evening. My name is Talia Manzana. I'm in 8th grade and I've played volleyball and ran track for Ben Franklin Middle School. My experience with after school sports has taught me teamwork, has given me motivation and something to look forward to after school, and has brought me out of my comfort zone. It is important to give this opportunity to students because it allows us to experience different things. The sports program has changed my social life for the better, from meeting new friends to becoming more confident socially. It has encouraged me to try new things and even do it with my friends. From these experiences, students will be able to express themselves in many different ways. The sports program also helped me discover my love for volleyball and running. It allowed me to do what I'm most passionate about. It's most important for students to have this opportunity in order for them to develop sports skills and be able to freely participate in what they love and what they want. Thank you for supporting us.
Good evening, everyone. My name is John Rayu Santos. I'm an 8th grader. I did track, volleyball, basketball, and soccer. Sports are a benefit in our lives. Sports made a huge impact for me in many different ways. Sports helped me improve many life skills, such as my agility, speed, and strength. After school, sports teams that I've joined helped me become confident of myself. We get to learn new skills and time management, which is a big part of being in a team. For teamwork, we learn how to cooperate and trust with one another. For example, volleyball helped me make new friends. I learned how to communicate with them. It has also improved my coordination skills and agility. For basketball, it helped me become strategic and build up my strength ability. It helps me improve my body fitness and my core. There are some up and downs, like getting injured or losing a game, but at least we try and we give it our all. Without sports, I wouldn't be able to learn valuable skills and lessons. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Elijah Hermosillo, 8th grade, and I attend at Ben Franklin. And I will be talking about how after-school sports like track, volleyball, and soccer had an impact on my life, both physically and mentally. Engaging in these sports has helped improve my physical fitness. For example, track involves running, endurance, and quick reflexes, which boosts health, strength, and coordination. For volleyball, it chances our agility and balance. Many sports involve working together with teammates to achieve a common goal. For the last after-school sport that helps me improve is soccer. It can be a great way to reduce stress. Playing soccer requires commitment to commit to practice and continuous improvement. It also helps me learn to think quickly and strategize during a fast-paced play. Engaging in these sports has helped me release tension, clear my mind, and help improve my mood. Being a part of after-school sports has helped me make many new friends. I had a good time hanging out with those new friends. Personally, achieving goals in sports can boost self-confidence and create a sense of accomplishment. Thank you.
So, thank you for your time, JESD board members. Again, it's truly a great program to have. I hope we can keep it going for future years to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Do we have questions from any board members or final comments before we give out the certificates?
I do have questions. How often you guys practice, or how many days a week, or if there is a way that that they fight or play against other schools, or
So normally, there's 3 contacts during the week, 2 practices, and 1 game. It's against the 4 middle schools in JESD.
I personally love volleyball because I used to be an athlete for volleyball. I started practicing middle school, and when we win nationally, I was born in El Salvador, and we win nationally in El Salvador volleyball, and my team went international and in Central America. So it's a skill you learn for life. For life, yeah.
I
So
definitely agree.
congratulations to all. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Just want to say keep up the good work and congratulations on your academic success and your sports success. And I like the balance that you all had when you talked about what you benefited from, because you talked about mental health, physical health, and social health. So this was a very refreshing meeting. Thank you.
Ms. Scott, could you put 3 more minutes on that time? We had some left over, so we have that.
I have one question and one comment. Are all of our schools, do all of our schools have after-school sports programs? And if not, which ones don't, or which ones do? Whatever the shorter list of schools is.
The after-school sport is the middle school sites. I can't speak for the elementary school sites, but it's for middle school sites.
And
Yeah.
FDR, so all the, right? FDR.
Yeah, FDR, so yes.
For the 6-8, so all 6-8 students.
Perfect. Thank you. And then my comment is actually in relation to what you said earlier, which is you've gone to the meets and you've seen your students at those meets. And one of them is my daughter, Nala, who actually did track at Ben, and she's actually running track at Oceana, and she's a senior now.
Right.
And so I'm just telling you guys, keep going with that, because the friendships that she's made, just even her confidence in her own overall discipline, it's actually helped her in other aspects of her life beyond just the sports. And so I'm so happy to see that we're continuing that, because she was at Ben, oh God, 5-6 years ago. So it's super awesome to see it's continuing to go. And then the other statement I wanted to make is just, you guys should be proud. You came up here and you spoke so eloquently and well. And I just want to say thank you for coming and speaking to us today.
Thank you.
I simply wanted to echo those sentiments. You all spoke very well and really presented why athletics are so important. And I liked what you said, Mr. Aquino, about how it is a lifelong skill, what Trustee Jordan said, and just how much happiness they bring. You know, if I'm ever having a bad day or really stressed, I try to go do something physical and I feel so much better afterwards. So keep it up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
again, I'll just close by again echoing my fellow board members, trustees, and sentiments and questions. And then also say thank you for coming to present to us, because one of the things we always love to hear is from our community. Thank you for bringing our community to us and speaking to us about what's going on in our community. So just to echo that, thank you.
You're
Before
welcome.
you all
Thank-
leave, we have certificates for you all. And I will start on my right.
Okay, I have a certificate of appreciation for participation in the special presentation on the JESD after school sports program for Samantha Alejandrino.
And I have a certificate of appreciation for participation in special presentation for the Jefferson Elementary School District After Schools program for Talia Manzana.
All right, I have a certificate of appreciation for the special presentation of after-school programs for Jeanre Usantos.
Certificate of appreciation for participation in the special presentation for Jefferson Elementary School District after-school programs goes to Sophia Lopez.
And mine is certificate of appreciation for participation in a special presentation, JESD after school program to Elijah Hermosillo.
All right, thank you once again. We will move on to our next item. If you are free to go, or you can stay. That's up to you. Anyway, so we will move on to item 7A. Really quickly before we do, Superintendent, I just realized since we eliminated closed session, do we need to remove item 15 also from the agenda as well?
I think by announcing that it was removed was enough.
Okay, cool. So I just wanted to clarify. Thank you. All right, so we'll do board member acknowledgements and commendations, and I'll start on my left this time. That's why I was looking at you, unless you want me to start on my right. Okay, I will start with Trustee Rashba.
Okay. I simply wanted to say thank you to Principal Roxanne Hannon and SBA Elementary for welcoming me in for the community read aloud. And that was a great event held last Friday in which I know a number of us read 2 different classes. It was very well done. I would encourage all schools to do the same. And as I said to the students who I spoke with, just reading is so important. Speaking of lifelong habits that enrich us, and just the importance of libraries in our community, of what an incredible resource that it is. We can go check out such a wide variety of resources free of charge. So keep on reading. Thank you.
I also had the honor of actually reading at 2 schools last week, Friday. So I wanted to give a shout out to Garden Village and SBA for inviting me there, and just shout out to the students. They were so fun to be around. They actually invited me to their movie night and to their family day, and they asked all of these questions about who I am and what I do. And it was just really great to be with the students and to see them, so interested in reading and asking questions about the books. And so that was really, really cool. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is we had a wellness committee meeting. I believe that was either last week, Wednesday or Thursday. And it was really a colorful conversation. I got to ask a lot of questions with regards to our food services, and I gave a lot of feedback, tried not to step outside of the boundaries of what my school board role is. But I think it was really, really helpful to hear consider some of the things that we're doing, as well as making sure that we're providing some education, because I think there is some misinformation as to why our food is the way it is. And so I believe that they're going to be coming back to us with some information on that, to make sure that the full board gets that information. And I just want to thank, all the staff that was there that day, that gave their input outside of their regular work schedules, dedicated to the students. And the last thing I want to mention, is there was an emphasis on student voice, and I know I asked about it today. I think that we should really start to incorporate student voice. At the end of the day, they are the ones that are going to be receiving the food or receiving the education from us, and getting their voice is super important. I think when I was growing up, it was all about just do what you're told, but I don't think that raises children in a way that allows them to be independent thinkers. It's like, well, this is what we said and this is what you do, but allowing them to have a voice and say in how their life continues to grow and expand, I think is important for their development in the future.
I too would like to commend SBA school principal Roxanne Hannon and also the teacher Debbie Borda. I was able to go and speak to a couple classes during Black History Month, and we just had a dialogue, a conversation about, we did a KWL, so what they know about Black history, what they wanted to know, and then what they learned after our conversation. And that was actually one of the best talks that I've ever done, so like to commend them as well.
Well, last Friday, I had really a lot of fun. I went first to Susan B. Anthony, and I met Roxanne. She gave me a tour around the school and finished reading and singing for the students. And they were so patient with me and my vocal cords. So it was really beautiful to see how interested they are about listen story time, and how important it is for our culture, for us as individuals to listen to stories, create our imagination. And thank you, Sandy, for giving me also the tour. And after that, I went to Policita. They had the special need, exactly that. I cannot say that fast. But I finished playing volleyball with all the students, and something that I just want to address and for you guys to know also is the empathy all the students have between each other and how they wanted to support each other. It was really beautiful to engage and to see how aware they are and how helpful they are to each other. I got a lot of hugs from all the students, and I feel thank you and blessed to be around all of you. Thank you.
I love how many fun things are happening in our district. And there's more of them coming. So please keep attending. And again, please be reporting that back to the board. We want to let our community know that we're there for them. And I think that's the best way we can do that, is by showing up and being present, and, missing a volleyball and hopefully it didn't fall. But anyway, I just want to echo the fellow sentiments of my trustees. I don't have anything else to add except for I'm looking forward to the spelling bee this upcoming week. And then I will pass it to Superintendent McCulloch for superintendent comments.
Yes, I want to thank you all for participating in a lot of the school events. I know it means a lot to the students and staff. I also read at Susan B. Anthony. I love reading and doing the voices. And then also participating in Unified Sports Day, which is Special Olympics. And I just want to commend Mr. Ben Simmons, who is the adaptive PE teacher who coordinated the day, all the special educators that prepared their students, and the TRP staff for coordinating, especially the PE staff. Mr. Hawkins is in the audience as well, for coordinating and supporting the events. And it was such a great day. So I appreciate them. And as you said, there are a lot of fun things happening. This is the time of year where lots of things are happening around our district. As you said, next Tuesday is the spelling bee at Ben Franklin. It's March 18th at 6:30 p.m. And then we also, next Thursday, is the Future Chefs competition at Thomas R. Policitas MUR from 3:30 to 5:30. 5:30. They are looking to see if any board members want to be judges. So if you do want to be a judge, let me know after the meeting today so I can let them know. Otherwise they'll seek out other judges as well. So that's always a fun event. I love those chef cooking shows. So that one's one. It's the March 20th is Future Chefs, and March 18th, Tuesday. So Tuesday Spelling Bee, Thursday is the Future Chefs next week. So that's all the things happening before our next board meeting.
Excellent. Thank you. Oh, someone say something? Sorry, I misheard. All right, we will move on to item 7C. This portion of the agenda is persons wishing to address the board. This portion of the agenda is available for individuals to comment on or address the board on any issue that is under the board's jurisdiction and not on the agenda. The maximum time allowed for any speaker is usually 2 minutes. We will display the 2-minute timer on the screen. If the timer ends, I will stop you if you go over. As a reminder, the board may not discuss or comment on any items not listed on this agenda or expressed during communications public comment. We want you to know that we will hear you and will ask our superintendent to follow up on your comments. Please make sure you leave your name and contact information with Ms. Santa Cruz so our administration knows how to reach you. Ms. Santa Cruz, do we have any speaker cards? Okay, tell them to line up outside, please. Anyway, no, I'm just kidding. Anyway, all right, we will move on to item 8A. Consent agenda. The administration recommends the approval of the starred agenda items on the rest of the agenda. Do we have any that we need to pull? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, we move on to item 10B, second interim budget review. Josie Peterson, Assistant Superintendent of Business Services, will present highlights of the 24-25 second interim financial report for the period ending January 31st, 2025. The administration recommends that the Board of Education review the second interim report, B, approve the filing of the positive certification of financial condition, and C, approve the revision to the working budget to correspond with the projected year totals.
Thank you, trustees. I do have a short presentation tonight for the second interim report. The whole packet is attached to the agenda. It is a full report of all of the district's funds and the multi-year and all of the forms. So going into the second interim report, this is just kind of an overview of what we'll be talking about tonight. The budget timeline, reporting requirements, etc. I'll go ahead and move forward. So the second interim report is really the second time that we come to the board with our updated budget. The budget is prepared in June, which the board approved, and then the first interim report was presented to the board in December. And so now second interim is the actuals as of January 31st. So we have half of the school year complete. We have a good picture of our financial position. Now we have been able to include adjusted revenues and expenditures. We have our salary increases included in the budget, and it is a much more accurate projection of our district's budget for this year and the 2 years following. This is just a review of the budget cycle. And reporting requirements, as you mentioned, we are filing a positive certification, which means the district will meet its financial obligations for the current fiscal year and the 2 years following this school year. So when we look at the second interim, there really wasn't much change from the first interim that we presented to you in December. Very little change aside from some changes in revenues and expenditures, which is summarized here. The revenues increased, and it's outlined there. There was some small increase in LCFF funds, some federal Title I, Title II, Title III funds, and then our local revenues also increased. Local revenues are a little different than some of the other revenues because we really don't book them until we know about them. Schools have a lot of donation accounts, and there's like interest income. We don't really know those things in advance. So you'll always see some some increases in local revenues. The good news is we did receive the grant for the teacher residency program, which the board heard about at the last board meeting, and so that was part of the increases in revenues. And then expenditures increased mainly because of our salary increases that were included in the budget. And then what we do also, there were some contracted services and utility increases, but we also offset those increases with any categories where there is not expenditures occurring. And so we're able to make some reductions in some categories and shift those funds over to where the budget did have increases. Now here's just a very summarized version of the current fiscal year and then the 2 preceding fiscal years. And here, really just to kind of point out to you that it is including the restricted side of the budget. So you see the deficit there is higher than what would really be a structural deficit. Our structural deficit is really in the $2 million range. And as we've stated, we are strategically using reserves to get us through these next couple of years. And the multi-year is difficult to project because they say it's a dartboard. The governor is making assumptions for the next 2 fiscal years, and the COLA changes periodically when he does his January budget and then his May revision, and then it changes again in June. So this is the best information that we have at this time. I always like to look at all of the other funds in the district and just kind of highlight a few of the funds. I didn't highlight them for you now, but I'd like to just kind of mention the Child Nutrition Fund has been self-sufficient over the last few years, where in previous years it was not self-sufficient. One thing you might have heard about recently with child nutrition is there's been some talk about federal reductions. Right now, we don't have to worry. There is a school food program. It's called the Local School Foods Act, and that was started in 2022. It's about $40,000. We did receive those funds, but recently in the news, there was notice that there was going to be a cut to that program. The new program was announced in October of 2024. They didn't even give us the allocation. We don't have it in our budget. We didn't have any details. It was announced by the USDA this week that that program would be cut. So it's not included in our budget, so it doesn't really have an impact on us. The other fund I'd like to always talk about is Deferred Maintenance Fund. The state no longer funds deferred maintenance, and so that is up to us to use our LCFF funds and plan ahead for deferred maintenance. Luckily, we have a bond program. We've had a strong bond program, so we haven't had a lot of deferred maintenance things happening, but normally those are things like roofs and paving. Our bond program has really taken care of those things for us, but it is something to consider as we move forward with our advisory committee is how do we continue to fund deferred maintenance? Then Special Reserve Fund, I like to talk about that because that is Fund 17, the board's designated Special Reserve Fund, and we use that to offset our health benefits for our employees each year so that we are able to pay for the increases in health benefit costs. And going on to the other funds, I'd like to highlight Fund 21 because thanks to the taxpayers, we have been able to issue the last series of the measure, and we have about just under $7 million left in the building fund, and that is going to go towards Westlake Phase 2. And once we finish that project, we will have fully expended our bond funds for that bond program. What else here? I always like to talk about Eastmore Heights, Fund 63. So that is going very well. We have almost 100% occupancy, and we are projected to start building a reserve in that fund. We want to build a reserve so that we can plan ahead, have like a maintenance plan, a deferred maintenance plan, so that we can say which years we'll do painting, which years we'll do paving, build up that reserve for the first few years, and after that we will have some cash flow available to the district. That will be one of the areas of revenue increases that we can talk about. And really, that's a very brief summary of where we are. Right now, we're in the middle of budget development. We're working on developing the budget that we want to bring to you with our LCAP in June. We'll look at a public hearing and then a budget adoption. We will get the May revision in May, but we still won't have the final state budget. So what we bring to you as our final budget, there could always be changes when the governor does adopt the state budget, and we really never know exactly when that will be. And that's about it. Thank you so much for the time, and I'm happy to answer any questions or take comments or suggestions.
Thank you, Assistant Superintendent Peterson. I guess we will go with comments, questions, or suggestions, and I will start on my left.
I feel really lucky that I have the team we have. I sent a lot of questions to you, and thank you for answering all of them, and for the patience you guys have in explaining me all. But I hope we focus in the same desire to keep our schools alive, to keep our teachers and all our staff, of course, with us. You know, ideally, we want to prosper and make everybody prosper. That's my desire, but I hope we go and focus in that direction. Thank you.
I was just wondering what is your main priority for the next year or so? What are you looking at the most?
As far as the budget goes, okay, as far as the budget goes, just really, for me, I'm new and I'm really still learning everything about Jefferson. So I really want to learn the details, more in-depth knowledge of the budget. And it's a great opportunity because we're starting the next budget cycle. So with regard to the budget, my main goal is really knowing the budget inside and out.
No questions. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
Just a couple questions. Thank you, great presentation. I was wondering if the teacher residency revenues are expected to continue on an annual basis. Do we know that?
I think Brent would like to answer that question. Thank you.
I don't know if I want to, but I will. It's a 3-year grant, and then there was the first grant just to get things off the ground, and then the next round is the implementation grant, and that will help with the stipends and things of that nature for our interns, and then, our residents. And then after that, we have discussed some different ways of continuing with making sure how we can pay our residents as they move forward through the program once the grant sunsets.
If I may add, this grant is funding a specific program. It's not going into the general fund. So it's funding these services and the residency, and it is short-term, as he said.
But nonetheless, adding to the educational quality of our district, and as per our earlier conversation in the strategy session, it's just always good to see new sources of revenue coming into the budget. I wanted to ask, could you just go over again what you were saying with the difference between the structural deficit and the restricted deficit? I'm not sure I understood that.
Yes, thank you for asking. So when you look at the details of the report, there's an unrestricted general fund, and then there's a restricted general fund.
Could you scroll back to this slide, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
So that is the summary. So this is a combination of the unrestricted funding and restricted funding. So on the unrestricted side, it's what's called your local control funding. It's the amount of funds that you get per student. That's all the funds we generate because we're state funded. And so on the unrestricted side of the budget, that is the main source of funding. There's also some, mandated cost revenues, interest income. It's really mostly LCFF. And then we pay for all of our teaching salaries and basically all of our classroom, our basic expenditures in the unrestricted general fund. And then on the restricted side, we have programs where we get state funding or federal funding. For example, there's federal IDEA special education funding, there's state special education funding, there's expanded learning opportunity, there's all of the restricted grants. And so what happens on the restricted side of the budget, and I think expanded learning opportunity is a perfect example, we received the funds in the first year for expanded learning was, a few $1 million. In the first year, we aren't able to spend the funds because we're still planning. We're planning how we're going to spend the funds. So in the first year, we end the year with, almost $4 million in our bank account. And one of the forms in here actually has a sheet that shows all of these restricted balances. So when you start the year with an ending fund balance from the prior year and then you spend it, it shows a deficit. It looks like you're deficit spending, but you're really not. You're spending carryover money that's been sitting in the bank. And so in this chart, I'm combining the unrestricted deficit with the restricted. And on the unrestricted side, unfortunately, the state funding does not cover our expenditures for our classes and our students. And so we are deficit spending, and we knew we were deficit spending, and when we give a salary increase, it slightly increases the deficit spending, but we knew we have reserves to cover that. So what we are deficit spending right now is in the ballpark of about $2 million a year in all 3 years. And we are using funds from Fund 20. We were transferring some funds to cover some of that deficit spending. And that's the area that you would call a structural deficit because it is projected to be an ongoing deficit. The state funds are not covering our ongoing expenditures.
Thank you. Very helpful. And final question. I don't know if it's this presentation or a later presentation, but I wanted to ask when we will see that 3-year projection of funds, the one that former trustee Koo was fond of, that shows our balances going forward. Is that in a future presentation? I don't know if you're.
So 3 years, this is a very summarized 3-year. Is there?
Right.
So this is the way she's been presenting it. That was a different style from a different assistant superintendent. But if you would like that slide to be back in, we can put it back in. She's just summarized it in a different way. This is the way we wanted to make it really clear because that other one has a lot of other detail. But if you would like it to be presented, bring that back. We can bring that back.
I am certainly open to new ways of presenting the information, but I would be interested to see it, in some of the board materials for that. That was just very clear to me, kind of where we were now and what our fiscal state would be going forward.
Yeah, I can look at how it was presented in the past. There is a form in the packet called multi-year projections, and I'm sorry I don't have the page number for the PDF, but it shows in detail every line of revenues, expenditures, and it's about 6 pages. Unrestricted, restricted, and then combined. So maybe I can look back at what the summary was in the past and kind of maybe go back to that if that's what you'd like, or something. We can talk about that.
Yeah, so I read through all of that, but I like this new representation of it. Is I think that other slide, we all liked it, but it was very dense. It was too much on there to me. This one is a lot more easy to read and clearer, and I think it has most of the information that we would end up talking about anyway. But anyway, that's just my tidbit.
Trustee Rushman, did you have anything you wanted to add, or are you good?
No, I do see the multi-year projections in the full budget information, and I'm open to looking at that, although that is very dense.
All right, next up, Trustee Jordan.
No, I was going to say I agree that I like the summarized version, but I think because the other attachment was 150 pages, it may be helpful to call out where you summarize and say, okay, on page 137 of the 150-page document, here's where it's more details if we decide that we want to dive into that, and then pair it back to the summary, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. I could do that, or I could make 2 slides, one very summarized and then one more in-depth, and then we could decide how much time to spend on it.
I think if we already have it in the other one, and I guess this is more for the board, if we already have it and you call it out, I don't know if it's necessary to create another slide, but then again, I'm opening up to the board to say yes or no. I don't want to speak for the board.
So Vice President Jordan, let me get this straight. You didn't read every word of the 150-page document like you were supposed to? No, just kidding.
Yeah, no, I did. So I did see that, but I think because we specifically in this meeting, he called it out. I think it would just be helpful to say on this slide, so that way we can skip to what we deem might be the most important. I don't know.
I think what I remember, I concur with your suggestion of how to refer us, but I think what from the former presentation, what always, made an impression on me is, when we would see red ink or print, at what point, and I don't quite see that in the, I see that there's a structural deficit, but I guess it's just helpful to see when that happens, and that was more clear. But I'm open to any style that would, help us understand that.
So then could we request that you help us with identifying that information, but in your own style? Because we also don't want to dictate, I think, exactly how it needs to be done. That's your profession. So is that all right by the board that we ask for that? Okay.
Thank you. That is really good feedback. I appreciate that.
One more. I wonder if you can acknowledge, you have obviously way more knowledge than me in accounting, and if you can find a ways where we can reduce the spending. Is there any category that you can already notice that we can reduce the spending?
The purpose of tonight is really just to show where we are. That would be part of a future conversation is for that purpose, but this is really, it's a required report of the second interim of where we are and where we stand. So having recommendations doesn't necessarily fit into this agenda item, but it would be actually part of the superintendent advisory committee, and it would be brought back to the board. So yes, but not in this agenda item.
Copy, thank you.
All right, Ms. Peterson, you ready for my questions?
Mm-hmm.
I have none.
Oh.
So you're good.
Thank
Anyway, so thank you very much. I don't know if we need her standing up there for these next things. So yeah, so we're gonna move forward with the next couple things. Thank you.
you
Ms.
so much
Peterson.
for your feedback. I do appreciate it.
All right. So
Motion.
so we need two different ones. We need to approve the filing of positive certification, then we need to approve the revision. So
A question to Superintendent McCulick: do we need to have the approval, the approval for the positive certification and the approval for the revision as two separate motions, or can we combine them?
I think you can say it all in one motion.
Okay. I motion to approve the filing of the positive certification of financial condition and the revision of the working budget to correspond with the projected year totals.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, we move on to item 11A, certificate of retirement. The administration recommends approval of the retirement of request from Teresa Lynn, pre-K teacher at General Pershing, effective June 7th, 2025, and request the appropriate resolution be prepared commending her for her years of service with the district. Ms. Lynn has been employed with the district since February 1st of 2012. Are there any comments, questions, statements? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Maybe in the future, I would like to see how many years they work for our district. Does it say?
So I think it
Oh,
is here. It's
years,
it
yeah.
starts in 2020,
Okay.
2012. So no worries, no, it's okay. Right. Any other comments, questions, statements?
Just wanted to congratulate Miss Lynn on her years of service and on her upcoming retirement, and I motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Congratulations, Miss Teresa Lynn. All right, item 11D, declaration of need for fully qualified educators 25-26. The California Commission on Teacher Credentialing requires that the governing board vote annually to approve the attached declaration of need, certifying that there may be an insufficient number of certificated persons.
I move that we approve this declaration and also just encourage as many people as we can to become teachers.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, this is a roll call vote. So just one moment.
I can do it.
Thank you, Superintendent McCullough. Can you conduct the roll call
Trustee
vote?
Rashba,
Aye.
Trustee Jordan,
Aye.
Trustee Ali,
Aye.
Trustee Flamenco,
Aye.
President Jordan. I mean, President, sorry, President Sujisaka.
Aye. I wish I was President Jordan. Anyway. Yeah, yes. So that motion passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, item 12B, resolution number 250312A, a resolution to eliminate. The administration recommends the governing board approve resolution number 250312A to eliminate a classified position. The Jefferson Elementary School Board has determined there are insufficient school resource funds to continue the position of instructional assistant after-school program.
So I can speak to this just a little
Yes,
bit.
please.
So this classification is, as you can see, it's for before and after school program. And for many years, we've been having more and more contracted services with Champions, Boys and Girls Club, and we have not been backfilling. So all of these positions that are being eliminated are all vacancies. There's been no impact on the other unit members, and I've been working with the CSCA president and regional folks on this. So we have to present this to the board by March 15th. And so that's the nature of this, but no employees are impacted by this resolution.
Thank you for that clarification. Are there any other comments or questions?
I have
If
a
not-
question.
oh, yes, go
So
ahead.
thanks for the clarification. I'm still a little bit curious about do you know if any of the paraprofessionals or classified folks, do they end up applying for to work after school for one of these agencies? Or?
So we have three employees that are still working in that classification that are, two of which are working in the after-school program. One is working during the school day. So the other positions that we've had in the past, it was always a difficult position to fill, to be frank with you. But we have not been moving forward. The folks that are working in the after-school program, they contract separately. So some of our folks that work in the school day and some of our substitutes are also working with Champions and the other after-school programs.
All right, are there any other comments, questions, or statements by the board? If not, I will entertain a motion.
I will move to approve resolution to eliminate this classification.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, this is a roll call vote. Ms. Santa Cruz, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Rashba?
Aye.
Ms. Jordan?
Aye.
Mr. Ali?
Aye.
Ms. Flamenco? Mr. Sujisaka?
Aye. Vote is unanimous. The motion passes. All right, item 13A, 13A, Governance Handbook. The administration recommends board approval and adopt the Jefferson Elementary School Governance Handbook 2025 based on updates based on discussion at a governance workshop held on February 1st, 2025. All right, are there any comments, questions, or statements? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Yeah, I have one comment unless anybody else has one. Okay. So there was a person in the public that reached out to me about what they thought maybe one of our board members was speaking about something that the board had approved with the majority. And so whether it's true or not, I just want to remind us as board members that if we have a difference of opinion about something that we all have voted on or a majority has voted on, it says in our handbook that we should not undermine that. And so we have our own thought patterns in our own brains, but however, when we're differing from what the board has approved, then we're representing ourselves as an individual and not as a board member. So I just want to remind us of that.
Thank you, Trustee Ali. Are there any other comments, questions, or statements? If not, I will entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the updates on the governance handbook.
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, item 13B, agenda format restructuring. The governing board will discuss restructuring the agenda format to combine all consent agenda items into one section. Superintendent McCulloch, I'll pass it to you, or should I speak to it?
You can start and then I can
Sure.
take.
So this conversation started at our last meeting when I brought it up, from looking at other board docs and also thinking about public readability of our agendas. And it's not a huge shift. It's really just moving all the consent agenda items into one space so that, you know, if someone comes into our meetings, it's easier to follow along rather than understand where we skipped. That's just my personal view on it and just my reasoning for bringing this to the board. But Superintendent McCulloch and I wanted to bring it to you all to see if there are any feelings on that or agreements, disagreements. So yeah, and then Superintendent McCulloch, I'll pass it to you, then trustees can speak.
Yes, so attached to the agenda item is a sample of what it could look like. There's many options. Ms. Covray and I went back and forth over several different templates. But what we kind of landed on, and we'd love your feedback if this is the way you want to go, would be that right after the communications section, so after the person's wishing to address the board, we would have this topic, a consent agenda, and it would all then follow under each of the departments. So general functions would be for me, and then each department would put their consent agenda items, which we don't need to star because they'd all be under consent. And then we would go into the same format that we have now, where it'd be general functions, but it would only be topics that we would either discuss or take action on, just like the items you see that are not starred on our current agenda. And then if there is no agenda item for that section for discussion, we would just not display it. So really the only change is adding in all the consent, putting in one section, but it would still be delineated by department.
Thank you, Superintendent McCulloch. And then I see Trustee Jordan and then oh no. Okay. Sorry, Trustee Jordan, go ahead.
You kind of answered the question. It basically we did it that way because essentially the different areas essentially are also in the consent. So doing this, you're going to be duplicating the areas, but specifically in the consent. Is this more work?
Not necessarily, it's just formatting and shifting. I mean, we would just get used to the new process of this one goes here. And it's very easy to say, oh, that item is now consent, I'm just gonna move it.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, no, that's something we discussed. Don't want to make it more work for the people who are doing this at all. So yeah, any other questions, comments? If not, I will
So
entertain a
this is
motion.
going under after 7C, like
Yes.
and then
well, it depends if we have a public hearing or the number might change because
Right.
if we have a public hearing or a special presentation,
Got it.
those shift so I can't say the exact number, but it would come right after communications is what.
so after
I'm suggesting.
communications, and then so it would say like we'd have a bold number that says consent agenda, and then
If you have, I can show you on the computer, it's the
is it would it
attachment
be
on the
I
agenda.
looked at it earlier, but when I looked at it, I didn't see the difference. I guess
can
you
give
know.
you my computer if you
Yeah.
want.
Okay.
I apologize. I probably should have printed the samples for you. I try not to have a lot of paper, so. And just for clarity, we're already preparing the next agenda, so we already people have submitted their items, so we probably, if we do make the change, we wouldn't do it till maybe the April meeting anyway.
So this is the only thing that you were talking about at the last meeting when you said you wanted to. Okay, yeah, this looks good to me.
I just want to say I am supportive of any reorganization that we think would help with clarity and this does for me. I would actually like to add, just for benefit of the public, a brief explanation of what a consent agenda is. That wasn't really something I knew until having some experience with meetings, but just to state that, you know, these are routine items and we approve them at once, just kind of defining what a consent agenda is.
Yeah, we could definitely add that under the administration recommends approval, and maybe it's kind of, we have a little backup and have a statement for sure.
All right, so then I suppose if we have a motion on the table, it would be to approve the restructuring of the format and then including the statement in the consent agenda items, or in the consent agenda, consent.
Yeah, I move
I
that
guess I
we
would say-
approve that, this agenda item with the said amendment.
I have a motion,
Second.
and I have a second. This is a roll call vote, so Ms. Santa Cruz, can I have a roll
It
call
doesn't have to be, I didn't know if it would be a
Oh.
full discussion. If you want to do roll call or if you want to do voice vote, it's up to you.
We'll do voice vote. Unless you look like you're ready to do something, right? Yeah. Well, I'm just Santa Cruz now. Let's have you do roll call vote.
Mr. Rashba,
Aye.
Ms. Jordan.
Aye.
Mr. Ali.
Aye.
Ms. Flamenco.
Aye.
Mr. Sujisaka.
Aye.
And as
Right.
I said before, I just want to make sure it's, I mean, if we could do it not at the next meeting, but the meeting after.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, thank you. So this will be enacted on the April meeting. April what? April 23rd. Thank you. Motion passes unanimously. And thank you for being eager and ready to do work, Ms. Santa Cruz. We appreciate you. All right, and we have made it to item 14, governance team member comments, reports, future agenda items, and board meeting reflection. And since I started on my left, I will start on my right this time.
Simply, yeah, great meeting. Wonderful to hear about all the exciting events and news going on in our district. Our, you know, relatively positive financial state is really encouraging, and I was very encouraged by our study session at the outset of this meeting. And just as I said before, I think it's really good that we are starting this conversation now.
I echo my fellow board trustee sentiments. I think what I'm realizing, even based on the public comment that we had during that study session, is we need to figure out better ways to market ourselves. And I know this is something that we have been saying for a really long time, but I think especially after the study session today, we need to better showcase our district, and we need to think outside the box. Just because this is how we've done it or this is the recommendation from our PR agency does not mean that those are the only ways that we can go about better communicating and educating the public on how amazing our district is. And then lastly, I forgot earlier to say that I also attended the Garden Village STEM Fair, or it was like a science night. And so I wanted to give a shout out to the principal, Miss Haley, for all the hard work. It was the students, this is my second year actually going to it, and the students really love it. They really got engaged. They actually had one of the teachers and I guess her spouse had like these robotics, and the kids were making their own, I guess, turnover like trucks. It was super cool. So I just encourage us to do a little bit more hands-on stuff at our schools. It really gets the students outside of just the regular day-to-day education that they're getting.
I just want to commend the students again that came tonight, the student athletes, and something that Trustee Jordan talked about. You talked about how your daughter started off in middle school and now she's in high school. It made me think about all the students that I come across and interact with mostly in leadership capacities that are either high school age or young adults. And if they're from Daly City, you know, we start talking and say, well, did you go to one of my schools? And then we always have these conversations, and sometimes they remember that I was on stage at their graduation, or they came here and, you know, presented to us at a board meeting. So thanks for bringing that up, because, you know, it made me think about that. So thank you.
I want to say congratulations to the Irish community that are celebrating their month as well. I personally have learned how to cook the corned beef next time. And just invite everybody for the spelling bee that is going to be the 18. Also, the chef tournament is going to be what day? The 20. and then we can work together as a team to make our school district succeed and also survive any calamity. And I wish my desire is that sports in Daly City has a big change and opportunity. And hopefully all these athletes that we see today, they can be the future athletes for USA Olympics. Who knows? I would like to encourage all our students that are listening to get enrolled, and we're here to support them.
I echo my fellow board members' trustee sentiments. I also wanted to additionally wish everybody a happy belated International Women's Day and then Women's Month. And then also it is currently Ramadan going on right now. So we wanted to wish those well wishes to our students and families who celebrate. And before we close this meeting, we do have one public comment that we do wish to acknowledge. So I'm going to read the public comment statement for item 15. This portion of the agenda is available for individuals to comment on or address the board on any issue that is under the board's jurisdiction and not on the agenda. The maximum time allowed for any speaker is usually 2 minutes. We will display the 2-minute timer on the screen. If the timer ends, I will stop you if you go over. As a reminder, the board may not discuss or comment on any items not listed on the agenda or expressed during communications public comment. We want you to know that we will hear you, and we will ask our superintendent to follow up on your comments. Please make sure to leave your name and contact information with Ms. Santa Cruz so our administration knows how to reach you. All right, and our speaker is Pia Lopez, teacher.
Yes. Fifth grade teacher at Daniel Webster. I have 11 years of experience as a teacher. I feel nervous right now talking to you, okay? But I would like to greet, of course, Mr. Rashba. I was his daughter's teacher last year, and I miss Karina very much, and please say hello to her. And I'm here to talk about, actually, I'm sorry, and I forgot to say, I also want to welcome my new school board member, Nadia. I am also Central American, okay? My family came here as refugees in the 80s. You know why. You know what was happening in our region. And so I was in the public school districts of San Francisco as a refugee, as an English learner, as someone whose parents worked 7 days a week. I very much understand the challenges of this community. And I'm here to speak about teacher morale. I'm here representing Daniel Webster. And I just want to talk about that there have been many things going on this year in the district. And ostensibly, there has been a push to make schools safe and welcoming and engaging for students. And I very much appreciate that because I am part of the solution, and I am part of the teachers who are pushing for that. But I would also like to remind you that we need to make schools safe, welcoming, and engaging for teachers as well. And teacher morale is quite low right now. Okay, my time has expired, so I will use 10 seconds to say that we teachers are putting all of our heart, intelligence, our soul into these students, and we deserve to have schools that are safe, welcoming, and engaging for us as well. And perhaps next time I will get to say more about that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, and since there is no closed session, as previously mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, I call this meeting adjourned at 8:14 p.m.